Hi everybody, thanks so much for joining me on my IGTV. Today I have Emma Hiscox, who is a CBT therapist and has a special interest in sleep. And as I mentioned in my stories the other day, I thought it would be really good to get Emma on and chat about how the stress from wedding planning, especially in these COVID times, can affect our sleep. So hi Emma. Thanks
Hi,
for
Laura.
joining me. How you been? All right?
Yeah, I'm good. You?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Are you working from home at the moment? How's the COVID affected you?
Yeah, so every day working from home, but managing okay. Some kind of hurdles to overcome, but yeah, it's all good. Thank
Good,
you.
good, good. So we actually know each other through a mutual friend, and I've met a couple of times on nights out and things like that. And you have been married 2 years now.
Yep.
Yeah, so, and I think you planned it yourself. Is that right?
Yeah, so all of it, planned everything. Yeah.
Yeah, so you kind of understand the stress that comes with planning a wedding.
Yes.
Yeah. And just how many guests did you had? Like what scale, like kind of scale size was your
It was fairly big, so we had about 90 for the day, and then not too many extra for the evening, about 130. So yeah, it was quite a lot to think about, a lot to plan.
yeah, it takes a lot of organisation, doesn't it? So
Absolutely.
yeah. But gorgeous day. I saw some of the photos. It wasn't me who photographed it, there was it?
No, fortunately not.
But yeah, lovely photos.
Thank you.
So you popped up on my Instagram the other week that because I obviously know that you're a CBT therapist, and you popped up on my Instagram that you started the sleep therapist Instagram page, and I got really excited because I've been really getting into my own sleep lately. The stress with everything that's going on, and plus even in wedding season I get anxiety dreams. Like I'll dream about forgetting batteries or falling over on the wedding day. Like I'll have these dreams, and so my sleep's been really affected, and I've really got into the Calm app. I'm sure there's other apps available. I absolutely love the stories where I've never heard the end of any of them.
That's a good
So,
sign.
yeah. But I really how they find me relax and kind of take my mind off everything that's been going on in the day.
Nice.
So yeah, when I saw that you were posting stuff about sleep, I got very excited, and thought it would be great to have you on just to kind of chat through if any of my couples or anyone watching is kind of planning their wedding at the moment. And I'm dealing with couples who have had to rearrange their wedding 2-3 times now, and also people are worried about next year whether they can have the day that they've planned. I'm sure it must be affecting their sleep and stress. I think they come as a bit of a package, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
So sorry, I'm just rambling on.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to start with some questions that I've kind of thought of. So why do people kind of get this wedding insomnia and have trouble with their sleep?
Well, of course, wedding planning, there's so much to think about, and with that comes a lot of worry. So those kind of what if thoughts, like what if I get ill, or what if I'm not able to pay so and so on time? And obviously those worries are a threat, and it's going to cause anxiety. It's not a real danger as in somebody coming to attack us, but it's something that's a perceived threat in our mind that still causes us to feel very anxious. We might also have a lot of doubts, like, have I made the right decision on the DJ? Have I made the right decision on the food? So there's all of these decisions that perhaps you're kind of doubting or wondering whether they're the right decision. And then, of course, there's just the sheer humongous to-do list of things that you have to do, the guest list, the paying of suppliers. Oh god, this to-do list is endless. I had an Excel spreadsheet and it was so long. But of course all of those things cause our mind to go into such overdrive that if we are spending lots and lots of time wedding planning and thinking about the wedding, then of course that plays on our mind, can cause us more anxiety and stress. And of course when it comes to nighttime, that's when it kind of plays on our mind and keeps us awake. And it's worth remembering that Nighttime is naturally the most anxiety provoking time of the day. If you think back to when we lived in caves, and we didn't have doors to lock out people, we had to be more alert. So although we would nod off to sleep, there would be a sense of, okay, I have to be kind of alert for danger. And that still plays into today as well. We have this sense that when we go to sleep, our mind can sometimes start thinking about things and we're kind of on edge a little bit more. So yeah, there's a few different factors that really play into just not sleeping very well.
Yeah, gosh, that is lots to think about. And so obviously we have to sleep. So what is it that makes us, I know obviously the stress and anxiety, but what is there something that particularly then makes you think, like your body think, right, don't sleep? Like, does that make sense? Because we have to sleep and our bodies need it. So why does it affect our sleep so much?
Yeah, so it goes back to thinking about, when we lived in caves and we started evolving. If there is any form of threat, our brain goes into what we call fight or flight mode, and it's where we either need to run away from a danger or fight a danger. And that fight or flight response releases adrenaline. And we all can appreciate what adrenaline is. Maybe we've been on a roller coaster or a job interview. It's the same hormone. Now, that hormone is a stimulant, so it makes our heart beat faster, makes our breathing change, hot, sweaty, you name it. But of course, adrenaline can come in various levels. So it might be that, we're not going to sleep, feeling very panicked and very overwhelmed, but it might just be a little bit. It just might be that little bit of, that those kind of worries that are playing on your mind, that to-do list, which is causing a little bit of stress. So of course, even if there's just a little bit of that adrenaline, it's a stimulant, so it's going to keep you awake. Your brain is not going to want to turn off when there is this kind of danger there, even though it's only a perceived danger because it's just in our head. It's going to say, no, now is not the time to sleep because there is this danger here. The part of your brain responsible for that, I almost imagine it like it's a bit blind. It doesn't really know that there is no danger here and that you're safe to go to sleep. It just goes, no, I'm not happy to go to sleep right now, essentially. So what we have to do is think about tips and techniques to help manage that stress, so that when we do go to bed, we're feeling calm, we're feeling comfortable, so that our brain goes, yeah, I'm happy to now fall asleep.
Yeah, I was just going to say, so is there stuff that we can do to help us sleep better, like throughout the day, or is it just before that time when we need to go to sleep?
Yeah, so I think if you notice that the wedding planning is taking up so much of your time and you're doing it quite late into the evening, that might be something that you want to think about changing. So it might be that you set specific times just to do your wedding planning, and that time might be kind of more early evening rather than late into the evening. It could be that if you notice that you're in bed and you're going through your to-do list or going through your Excel spreadsheet, again, that might not be that helpful. You want your bed to be a place of sleep and relaxation and calmness rather than to-do lists and thinking about that association. So yeah, thinking about what you're doing in bed in relation to the wedding planning, but also thinking, okay, well, if you've got million and one things that you want to do and that are thinking about doing, is literally making a list and saying, okay, well, I've got my list there. I don't have to do them all right now. I can deal with them tomorrow. And in the same way, we can also deal with our worries in the same respect. So let's say somebody is worrying about, what if I can't pay the supplier on time? Well, actually, in that moment, 10 o'clock at night, there's nothing you can do about it. So it can be really helpful to actually write it down. And I'd really encourage people to write it down on pen and paper because it feels very different to just typing it in your phone. Yeah. It's a little bit more therapeutic. So writing down your worries and acknowledging them and saying, I've recognised that I'm worrying about this, but right now there's really nothing I can do about it. Let me try and deal with it tomorrow. Now, of course, there will be some worries that you really can't do anything about. So what if I get ill on my wedding day? Or what if I break an arm a week before? We call these hypothetical worries because there's nothing we can do about them. They're very hypothetical. So in that scenario, you want to just kind of remind yourself of the unhelpfulness of engaging in these worries and saying, well, that's not going to help me. I don't know what's going to happen. And you know what? If it was to happen, I would deal with it. I would cope. We're much more resilient than we give ourselves credit for. So writing things down can be really helpful in that respect, but also recognizing that there's a lot of uncertainty with weddings and what's going to happen, and almost kind of accepting that and saying, this is uncertain. I don't know what's going to happen, but let me kind of ride that wave of uncertainty, essentially.
Yeah, and I think definitely what you said there can apply to COVID at the moment, that there is so much uncertainty about how weddings are going to go ahead next year or in the next 6 months. And it is hypothetical, isn't it? Because we know it's an issue, but we can't control what we don't know, what restrictions will be placed on us just yet. So
Yeah.
have you got any tips to add on to that one? Because it is definitely there as a threat, but we can't control it, can we? So
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really, really tough. You know, people dream about their weddings for so long,
yeah,
and then all of a sudden they're finding out that they can't have the numbers that they want, things are getting cancelled, suppliers aren't available for that second date. So it is hugely anxiety provoking. And I think it's also important to normalize that emotion that comes up and allow yourself to feel angry, upset, anxious. But at the same time, like I said, if there is just that uncertainty, really isn't anything that you can do. So try and do the things that you can control, so things that are within your remit, but then trying to just, as I say, notice that sensation of, I'm feeling really anxious because I don't know what's going to happen, but do you know what? I will be able to cope with it. You know, I've got my partner, maybe my family around me, maybe friends as well, that can support me through it. Whatever happens, we'll be able to approach it and deal with it as and when it arises. But for now, this is the plan, so let's kind of just go with that. But
yeah,
it's really hard. It's really tough.
yeah, definitely. And you talked about partners then, and sharing it with your partner. Do you think, or have you ever come across where two people are obviously they're together but they're dealing with things quite differently, and one's probably maybe suffering with their sleep but the other isn't because they're dealing with the stress differently?
Yeah, definitely. It could be that one partner is taking on more of the lion's share of the kind of planning, but it also could be that the other partner just deals with stress differently. Everybody responds differently to stress. So it might be that for some people, if they're feeling very stressed, they're quite happy to go to bed because they can literally just go, do you know what? I'm not thinking about this anymore. I'm going to bed. I don't have to think about it. And they sleep like a log, and that's wonderful for them. But of course, it affects other people differently, and then it causes us to stay awake. So I think communicating, you know, how you're feeling and the impact that it's having is really important. But at the same time, considering both of your kind of sleep schedules, if one of you is kind of struggling to sleep and the other one isn't, but then the fact that you're struggling to sleep is then impacting their sleep. Little things like maybe an eye mask, kind of some white noise in the background, just so that you don't wake them up when you come to bed, things like that. But yeah, everybody deals with things differently. So I would also try not to take things personally if somebody is
Yeah,
perhaps not seemingly coming across stressed, but communicating that actually you're not feeling so good.
yeah. I mean, I definitely have found from talking to all my couples who are rearranging or worried about next year, everyone's kind of dealing with it differently. So like you say, exactly, some people are a bit more chilled about it and what will be, and some people are very worried that they can't have the day they've planned. And I totally understand both, where both are coming from. So um can stress really affect sleep this much, or could it be other external factors as well?
So it can be a whole array of different things. So the way we understand sleep is what we call a biopsychosocial model. So we look at the biological aspect, we look at the psychological aspect, and the social aspects. What we mean by that is the environment. So it could be that somebody is not sleeping very well because maybe they're having caffeine too close to bed, or they're having sugary drinks or sugary snacks too close to bed. Or it even could be that they're slightly low in iron. Sometimes if you're iron deficient, that can sometimes affect sleep. So there could be some biological factors. Obviously psychological factors, worry, stress, absolutely. And then you've got the social environment in terms of, you know, how much time are you spending in your bedroom not sleeping? That might be a problem. How much kind of TV, computers, you know, gadgets do you have in your bedroom, which again might be kind of impacting. Is your room too hot, too cold, too bright, you know, not dark enough? So there's all these different factors. So I think when you're struggling with sleep, it's worth kind of taking into account some of those things and thinking, what else might be contributing to my difficulty sleeping? But absolutely, stress can be a real contributor. But as I said before, sometimes people it doesn't affect their sleep in the same way that it does for other people. Sometimes people see it as more of an escape. I can go to bed now, I don't have to think about it. So yeah, trying to think about the whole kind of package, what else could be impacting my ability to sleep. But if it is that you notice that it is the majority kind of stress based, then yeah, thinking about how could I manage my stress, what could I do. So some really great relaxation things. So you mentioned the Calm app. It's also Headspace, which I think is brilliant. The sleep section is really good. There's also a technique called progressive muscle relaxation, and it's a really nice relaxation you can find on YouTube that kind of talks you through it. But you basically go through each of your kind of muscle groups, you tense your muscles and then you relax them. So when you come to bed, it might be that you're kind of feeling a bit tense, you're feeling a bit stressed. And you might listen to this audio and you just go through, and as I say, you're kind of tensing your muscles, but then you're relaxing them to notice the difference between tense muscles and relaxed muscles. And once you've gone through your whole body, you kind of feel like you're floating. It's really nice, but it also gives your brain something to do. Your brain is thinking about doing something, but it's not thinking about all the kind of wedding stuff.
What was that? Sorry, progressive relaxation.
Progressive muscle relaxation.
Okay, awesome. And
so just a note.
Google.
Yeah, so literally, if you go onto YouTube, just type in PMR or progressive muscle relaxation. There's loads of guided audio clips. Obviously, just for pregnant people, don't kind of tense kind of abdominal area, and obviously if you've got any pain, not to kind of. It's not supposed to cause any pain at all. So if there's anything that's uncomfortable, don't do that.
Just a side warning there before we get.
Side warning.
Okay, cool. Well, that's all. Loads of info. How many hours is best for sleep? I know this gets talked about a lot, and I've got friends who only sleep like 4 hours, and I love 8 hours. I know that I work better on 8 hours the next day. I always feel more refreshed. Is there a key number, or?
Everyone really is different. So the guidance is kind of 7 to 9 is a good kind of area. But yeah, some people function perfectly well on 6 or 5. Again, some people maybe even function okay on even less than that. But I'd be a little bit unsure of how kind of healthy that would be. Of course, we have to go through various sleep stages in the night for to kind of restore our muscles and to help us with our cognitive function. So yeah, and actually anything more than 9 again starts to become slightly unhealthy. So people think the more I sleep the better, but actually if you're sleeping 10, 11, 12 hours every night, maybe there's either something kind of physically wrong, but actually it's not that advised to sleep so much. So anywhere between 7 and 9 is a good kind of rough estimate, but everyone's different and it's whatever works for you.
Okay, fab. Well, we're probably way over 15 minutes already. I could sit and chat for ages, as always with everybody. So if we just go straight, I always ask you to come up with your top tips. So if you've got like 2 or 3 tips, top tips for people planning their wedding at the moment to help them sleep better, go.
Having a really great wind down routine, so no wedding planning in that time.
Okay.
Trying to exercise a little bit throughout the day just to expend some of that energy, and yeah, any kind of relaxation tips, and writing down your worries so that you don't have to then think about it at night. So I think that might have been 4, but there you go.
I know, I love that one about writing stuff down, because I always find that like making a list works for me, and then I can cross through it throughout the day. So yeah, and why wouldn't I kind of write down? It's like a bit like journaling, I guess, isn't it? Which I did start a lot in lockdown, but I've kind of dropped it off, but I might start it again, just kind of getting your thoughts out on paper. So but thank you so much for your time, Emma.
No, thank you for having me. It's been great.
Oh, thank you. I'm going to tag you in the comments and things, so if people want to ask anything, they can do from what we've talked about, or if they want to come over to your page and perhaps direct message you if they don't want to talk publicly about anything. Is that okay?
Absolutely, yeah. And this was so brief. As I say, we could talk for hours about all things sleep and stress related. So yeah. And
sorry, I didn't mention. I'm just really quickly. I know I mentioned earlier that I know you're a CBT therapist, but how did you get into this specialist subject of sleep? Like, what was the interest there, or how did it come about?
So when you do your CBT training, you're also trained in cognitive behavioural therapy for insomnia. So it's part of the training. But of course, sleep impacts everybody. So of course, with all my clients, I will monitor and check sleep. But it's just a fascinating subject that we all can kind of share on. And yeah, there's just so much to it. And I just find it absolutely fascinating. So it's a real kind of hobby of mine to learn and know more about sleep.
Yeah, well, your posts on Instagram are great. I really love reading them. So,
Oh, thank you.
yeah, have a little read. Right, thank you so much. Then I'm going to say bye, and
Thank
I will see
you.
you soon, no doubt. See you soon. Thanks so much.
Bye. Cheers.